I think I got it. Hello, I'm Percy the Clown, and this is Zooterkins, and we're going to read a letter for Candy. Go get the letter. Thank you. Dear applicant, we regret, that we could not accommodate the referenced piece or pieces in the 311 Gallery Abstracts Matter juried show. Note, this email applies only to the referenced artwork. If you entered multiple pieces and all were not referenced in this email, you will also receive a separate email, that's hopeful, for the other piece informing you of the action taken. So please match up the reference numbers or artist names as applicable. We are very pleased with the quality of the entries. Unfortunately, the high quality of the entries made decisions very difficult for the jurors. We use 3 jurors to rate each work. This limits the opportunity for the opinion of one juror to unduly affect the overall rating. After all the pieces are rated, I then start with the highest ratings and work my way down, looking at the size of the works involved to determine the cutoff point for accepted work. With our renovated and enlarged exhibition space, we were able to accommodate over 130 pieces for this show. Unfortunately, we ran out of room before we got to your referenced piece. The purpose of our juried shows is to encourage artists to keep developing their art and to find artists that we might want to invite for a personal show. I lost my place. This is one of the reasons that the first place winner of each of our juried shows is invited to participate in the winner's show the following February. If I may, I would like to share a few general comments with you that may help you in analyzing and choosing your best art for future shows. These comments are general and based upon my years of working with juried shows and serving as a juror. They may or may not apply to any piece that you entered in this show. Often the difference between a piece that gets in and one that does not is subtle. One may have better composition, better flow of the eye through the work, more distinct focal point or points, more pleasing contrast, or better use of color, etc. than the other. Quite often, many of the items that do not get in are too busy, for lack of a better term. They have diminished clarity and definition, and this can obscure or lessen eye movement throughout the work, and or perception of the focal points. Another thing that some artists have trouble dealing with is relative values in paintings, because different colors may be perceived as being different values when, in fact, they are pretty much the same value. A trick I was taught in the 1960s was to squint my eyes until I could almost not see a painting. This would take out color and let me see relative light and dark. Today it is easy. Snap a photo and then use Photoshop or another tool to turn a color photo into grayscale, or just print it on a black and white printer so you can see what is really light and dark. Even easier, many phone cameras, hey, that's what we're using, allow looking at a photo in grayscale. You can snap a photo as you work, and boy, this is just fascinating. Don't even have to move it to a computer. We don't have one of those. We can go to my sister's maybe. All right. Quite often, I find doing this helps me with a painting that just isn't working for me. I use my phone camera when I think I'm getting close to finishing a painting. I find it amazing amazing how often the simple trick of looking at the work in grayscale will help me make a better painting. Many paintings suffer from having too much mid-tone and not enough of the more extreme light and dark. If you think about nature, you rarely see anything as balanced. It tends to lean one way or another. The same is often the case with great paintings. They are skewed somewhat, or even a lot, toward the light side or the dark side. And if in color they are skewed toward the cool side or the warm side, with accents in the other. The tails of the distributions can be important. Just having that little bit of really light and really dark, and that little bit of really cool and really warm color properly placed can make an ordinary painting come alive. It can help with leading the eye to the focal points. He likes focal points. A couple of other things. All too often, artists fail to read the prospectus. Wah, wah. We always seem to get paintings that are too large entered, and they have to be declined. Our size limits are real. If we allowed items that are too large, then we might have to decline many other deserving items for lack of space. Galleries choose size limits carefully to allow presentation of the best shows practical. We usually allow 2 photos of 3D items, but only 1 photo of 2D items. As a consequence, we have to allow a max of 6 photos to be uploaded. We always seem to get some entrants who upload 6 individual 2D entries because they don't read the well-stated limit of 3 entries. Right? Read the prospectus. That makes works for all of us to figure out what they want to keep. Some galleries will reject all of the artist's entries if they upload too many. So it pays to read the prospectus several times for limits on size, numbers of entry, subjects, etc. Otherwise, you're wasting your money in entering. Boy, am I glad I don't have any money. People with money have to make so many decisions. Don't enter a rectangular painting if the requirements limit the entries to square items, obviously. We try to communicate with artists that enter too many items. If we get no response, we have no choice but to allow the first 3 to be considered and withdraw the extras. You don't want to be withdrawn. I mean, you don't want to have your entries withdrawn. Right? Right. Okay. And if you enter a rectangular work, don't send a square photo that either cuts off part of it or scrunches it down. All too often, such an entry will be rejected because it cannot be easily juried. Don't show dimensions that are not what you intend to send if chosen. All too often, photographers will show large dimensions when they will only send a small print, or vice versa. That usually means that we didn't invite a work that we actually would have room to present. That isn't fair to the next piece in the rating line. It's not fair. We have rejected photos that were listed as being of a size larger than allowed, only to find that the artist intended to print it smaller. Likewise, we have rejected items after they arrived that did not conform to the show restrictions. Note, some photographers upload to cafe, only the largest size that they will print a photograph to keep within cafe's limits on number of items in your file area. I don't know what that's about. As a result, we may see that you have entered something larger than the show limit. minutes. If you have this issue, it behooves you to email the gallery, explain the issue, and provide the gallery with the real dimensions of the piece that you would send, i.e., that is, i.e. means that is, then why isn't it T.I.? Let them know you read the prospectus and hopefully keep them from tossing your entry as oversized. Often with photography, we have found that jurors were really looking forward to particular pieces of work based on the photos uploaded. Well, of course, only to find when they arrived that they were printed too big or on the wrong substrate or something else that took them out of the running for an award. See, the fact that a photograph is large or small will not usually figure into the awards process, but printing it so big that it becomes relatively pixelated can take it out of the running, obviously. Sometimes the same can be said for a painting. It can sometimes be too large or too small relative to the details presented. We have also seen too many cases where an inappropriate frame was used, too ornate, too colorful, or something else that took away from the overall presentation of the work. One last issue. If you present matted works underglazing, think carefully before you use actual glass. In most cases, acrylic glazing is much better because it doesn't break like glass, and being lighter, it's less expensive to ship. Again, with the whole money thing. Almost every show, someone sent a piece under glass that was not properly packed and protected, and it broke during shipping. Oh! About 80% of the time, the broken glass rattling around during shipping movement damages the artwork beneath. Oh. Thank you again for entering. We hope that you will consider us again for a future show. Alan Clapp, owner, 311 Gallery. And then it has his email address, too. Yeah. We're not done yet. There's a P.S. P.S. Sometimes we get a question about what happens to entry fees. Entry fees are used to provide the cash prices and to pay for the advertising, the jury fees, and other expenses for the shows. While we don't want to lose money on a show, neither do we plan to use fees as a major profit center. We use the entry fees to promote the works of artists accepted into the shows, and we keep them as low as practical to encourage participation. That's it. That was long. But we're